What's up guys, 6X Player here. Today I'm doing a deck profile for my Deletor's Link Joker deck. Let's get started. Starting Vanguard is Igor. Now I run two of these because this card is pretty sweet. Igor's skill is Ready it goes to the rear guard, and when your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you may put this card in your soul to unflip a damage to draw a card. So it will make sense why I run two of these in a bit when I explain the deleting. 3. Deleting Oxus. Oxus is a pretty sweet card. Alright, so his skill is you may combat 3. You may combat 3 deleters and soul charge a rear guard you have and delete all of your opponent's Vanguard, and he gets plus 10,000 power. So what deleting is, you make your opponent's Vanguard 0 power and has no more text. It still has the name and the grade. So if they have an MOB, they still have the name, MOB, and still the grade. And their rear guards still get the K clones, they still get the powered up. But they don't get the Blaster Dark Blaster Blade power up bonus that MOB gets. They don't get that anymore because his effect text is not there anymore. So it's a 0 Vanguard. So when they have a 0 Vanguard, they have no effect. And it's a big difference because your rear guard columns can actually swing for big numbers. They have to guard a lot. A lot of people overlook the delete mechanic because they compare it to reverse Dayusha, but it's not the same. Reverse Dayusha only does minus 10k to your opponent's Vanguard, and most Vanguards are 11k, so that 1000 actually makes a big difference in numbers. Deleting goes to 0, so and it's till end of your opponent's turn. They have to write another grade 3 on top of it just to get rid of the delete Vanguard. So if they don't have a grade 3, their Vanguard's going to swing for, with the booster, 7,000. And you just need a 5 guard to make it 2 to pass, which is pretty amazing because if you delete your opponent's Legion, that goes to 0. So they have to write another card just to get another Legion attack, you know what I mean? So the leaders are the offensive build for Link Joker. Starvaders are the slower locking later game. Deleters are the most aggressive Link Joker deck, and they're really fun to play. They're actually one of my favorite decks to play right now. And yeah, his other skill is when your opponent's about to ride on their Vanguard that is deleted, they have to discard a card, otherwise they cannot ride. So if they have like a deleted Vanguard and they want to ride, they have to discard a card. So it's pretty sweet. Let's say if you delete their grade 2 Vanguard, if they want to ride their grade 3, they have to discard a card. So it's pretty sweet. And he's pretty sweet because he's not Legion. He's not restricted by that Legion thing. And he's not a Limit Break 4, so he's pretty sweet. As soon as you get 3 damage, delete your opponent's Vanguard. Pretty sweet. Your deck also has a Legion. Zahil is pretty sweet. So, during the turn you Legion, you may combat 2, choose a card from your hand, discard it. Delete all of your opponent's Vanguard. So, pretty sweet, but it's only during the turn you Legion. Combat 2, discard a card. And when he attacks, he gets plus 2. So, your opponent's 0 Vanguard against a 22 attacker, I mean, that is pretty sweet. That 22 versus a 0 is a big number. So, yeah, he's pretty sweet. So, you ride him first, because obviously he's going to put more pressure on your opponent's Vanguard because they actually have to ride cards. And later in the game, you keep on riding this for 2 combats. So, if you pretty much delete their Vanguard 3 times, you pretty much win the game. But even if you delete them twice, which is pretty easy to do with these guys, yeah, you pretty much win the game because their opponent's offense is pretty weak. For the grade 2s, I run 4 Galley. Yeah. Now he's the mate for Zahil. So his skill is, when he's placed on the rear guard and your opponent's Vanguard is deleted, you may lock opponent's rear guard in the front row. So that is amazing. They have locking power also. So they have a 0 Vanguard and then you lock one of their front row. So their offensive power for the next turn is pretty bad. Especially when you have when you can lock their whole front row and their opponent's Vanguard is 0. They can't do anything that turn. They attack for like 7k against, so it's pretty sweet. 4, Jails. Jails is a damage unflipper. So when this unit attack hits a Vanguard, you may unflip a damage. So obviously he's going to put a lot of pressure on your opponent. They don't want him to hit, because if you let a deleter unflip a damage, you're pretty much letting deleters win the game. So yeah, for the jail. 3, 12k attackers. If you have deleter Vanguard, he attacks for 12k. Pretty sweet against your opponent's 0 Vanguard. He attacks for 12. So that's like pretty much, if you think about it, it's like 22. That's how much you have to guard for, like, so he's pretty sweet. 4 of this guy, his Gom or something. When this unit attack hits, when this unit boosts and the attack hits your opponent's Vanguard, you may choose a rearguard in your opponent's front row, lock it. So you have these pressure cards. You have Jail that you want to block. You have these, if you have a Vanguard booster like this, and a rearguard booster like this, and Jail on the other rearguard. That's so much pressure to your rearguard columns. Especially when your opponent's Vanguard has 0. They have to use so much cards to guard. If they don't guard, you may lock their front row. So you already lock one with this card. Now you have another lock target. So it's pretty sweet. 3 of this guy, he's pretty sweet. When he's placed on the rear guard, you may Soul Blast 2 to draw a card. Obviously, you don't need Soul in this deck. This guy can go with the Soul, so he's building up Soul. You have to Soul Charge a rear guard for him. So what you do is call him to the rear guard, Soul Blast 2 to draw a card, activate his skill, delete your opponent's Vanguard, and Soul Charge him. So it's like you don't even minus. So you gotta run him. You need the draw power to build up a big advantage against your opponent. 3 of these guys. Guitario. When you have a Delete Vanguard, he attacks for 10k. A 10k attacker in this deck is pretty sweet. You need the early rush, and against your opponent's 0 Vanguard, a 10k attacker is amazing. Those magic numbers. Like I said, you need to rush your opponent. Make sure they take a lot of damage, and delete them. 4 perfect guards, evil for deleters. Mainly because Oxus needs a special counterblast. 4 crit. I mean not 4. Yeah, 4 crit. 6 crits for deleters. 6 draws. You need the draw power to build up a big advantage and get your combo pieces. So like your Jail, your Guitario, not Guitario, the Locker. Like this guy, this. Like you need those cards. So, and you get your grade 3, so he's not a special counterblast, by the way. It's only him that's a special counterblast. So, and lastly, 4 heals in the deck. That's pretty much the deck, guys. It's really fun to play. If you think about it, your opponent's Vanguard is deleted like this, and they have 2 lock cards in the front row, and they have a booster like this, I guess. Not this, but you know what I mean. Like, and they're swinging for crappy numbers. They have to guard for a lot. It's a really fun deck to play. It's really cheap to make. I think you should make it now before the prices go up. But thanks guys for watching. I hope you guys liked my Deletor deck. And I'll see you next time. Delete.